What's up, guys and gals? It's your host with the most, Griever, as always, bringing you guys the latest chapter 179, review for Jujustu Kaisen, and I'm sure it's named something unique. Sunday Colony 6. No, I guess not. Well, that was unexpected. Totally unexpected, out of the blue. I mean, unique titles, Jujustu Kaisen, I mean, it's the staple, right? Anyways, going on to this chapter. Okay, so we got some stuff to talk about. This might be a little lengthy one. I'm probably going to go on a couple of tangents. So strap yourselves in like we're on a goddamn roller coaster because we're going to doing some of this. All right? So to start off, I like the chapter. Did you guys like the chapter? Just straight up. No reasoning, no nothing. Did you like the chapter? I would give the chapter a solid 8 out of 10. It was a good chapter. I enjoyed it. Now, let's talk about the big elephant in the room that a lot of people are going to hate about this chapter. I might hate the chapter overall because of one thing. Gege cucked us. Let's just straight up, let's call a spade a spade. Let's not beat around the bush about this bullshit. We got cucked. We got cucked hard. I'm talking Pornhub's level hard of cucked. Because everyone was talking, everybody was excited, right? Jujustu Kaisen, 3 domain expansions. Everybody was super pumped. We wanted to know what the abilities were. Everybody loves these unique abilities. Everybody loves Yuta. Everybody loves Rio. Everyone loves Uro. Everybody loves all these people, right? We wanted to see their unique domains, and see how would a 3-way clash and all this stuff. And people were talking about triple, double spreads of everybody's domain and who's going to win against who and how's that going to work. And whoa, is Rika connected to Yuta's domain, which is something that I'll get into later that I disagreed with back in chapter. I got some arguments for that and we'll discuss that, but I was right. So party flair for me. Griever can be right once in a while, folks. But Rika has nothing to do with Yuta's domain. That is confirmed in this chapter. But the big elephant in the room, we got cucked. We got cucked hard. There is no domains. We didn't get to see any of the domains, though I agree, unlike the very weak nerf explanation for Yuta and Rika, the domain explanation as to why we didn't get to see them, I'm good with it. It does actually make a lot of sense. But the disappointment and the sort of dag nabbit, sort of feeling we're getting, like, really, we were going to see that and now we don't get to see it, you know what I mean? Like, I understand the disappointment. I really do. Because I'm disappointed. I would have liked that. Now, if we can move on from that level, just that one instance, that was unfair. Yes, should Gege not have done that? Probably. But the explanation is sound, and the rest of the chapter goes on to explain a few things that or confirm a few things that we were curious about and explain a couple others. And now chapter 180 is shaping up to be a goddamn great chapter as well. So let's just move on to the rest of the chapter, because the rest of the chapter, it's a little mind-boggling, okay? You know why? Because Cockroach Man shows back up. How the fuck did that happen? You know what I mean? That was totally unexpected. And once again, a quick problem is I was trying to figure out what the hell was happening. At first, it looked like Rika was transforming into it. Like, the paneling was a little off. It's something that I've complained about before in certain chapters of Jujustu Kaisen, is that Gege has this great idea in his head and he wants to showcase all this stuff, but he jumps from a panel to a panel too quickly, and you're like, wait a minute, we're changing scenes now? What's actually happening? You know what I mean? Like, it's a little sometimes hard to follow, I guess. Like, the cuts are too quick, and then it's like, all right, because when I first read it, I was like, all right, wait, is this Rika awakening, and now because Yuta copied the ability, this is going to be part of Rika's new ability and going to transform into, like, this is literally my thought process when I first saw it, is that this Kurotsuchi, whatever you call it, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the cockroach curse, I thought Rika was transforming into that curse because of the mimicry ability of Yuta, being able to see abilities and curse spirits and stuff, and basically being able to copy them or absorb them. Curse manipulation, of course, Yuta saw its usage with Geto in Volume 0, so we can infer from that he can use curse manipulation now, and that was a curse spirit, so it stands to reason that Rika could have and brought the thing out, right? So we got the explanation later, but once again, this isn't the first time Gege has done this. His paneling sometimes leaves a little bit to be desired, and that was a bad cut. Now, That doesn't bother me because I like the explanation on how this thing comes back, right? But before we get ahead of ourselves here, pretty much what happens is I like the explanation of the domains. Let's explain why we got cucked. Let's explain why we did not get to see the domain expansions, the three-way duel, which, ironic that it's a three-way duel when a duel is two. Anyway, not the point. Point is that when domains collide, this is the explanation verbatim. I'm going to read this part. When domains collide, the respective must-hit techniques will cancel one another out. I believe Gojo explained that. Maybe not like that, but it was inferred that that's how the must-hit thing happens, or it's who does what later sort of idea. I believe Gojo explained that a long time ago. I could be mistaken, but it's good for two reasons. Number one, if he did explain it, that was a long-ass time ago in like the first arc, and it's good to get a little refresher course so we can understand what's going on now. Or number two, we never knew that, and now we do, and that makes a hell of a lot of sense. The whole must hit. Okay, this technique must hit. So now is it like a Pokemon tie in speed? It's like, okay, I have Shockwave, you have Aerial Ace. It has to hit no matter what. Which one hits first? Right? So now we have a speed tie. Now it's down to the speed stat, Like, how does that work? Well, when two domains collide, and in this case 3, the must-hit thing is, nope, sorry. You can all use your attacks, but the must-hit thing gets canceled out. That makes a lot of sense, and I'm good with that. The next part says, to keep Okotsu from getting an advantage here, they cannot let Rika enter the barrier. Once again, totally confirmed my theory, and once again, party flair, I was right, it happens, that Rika has nothing to do with the domain expansion. A quick explanation for that is that Jujutsu sorcerers, of course, a lot of them have domains. There's only one Rika. Why Rika it could have been, you could have made the argument, and I wasn't totally against that theory, I didn't buy into it that much, was that Rika might be a part of Yuta's domain. But it was far more likely that Yuta, because, for example, had Rika been left, right? Had Rika left at the end of Volume 0, which did happen, and not left this copy, which, by the way, is basically Rika, and we're confirmed more in this chapter that it is basically Rika, with no downsides, that pretty much, if that had not happened, you're saying that Yuta never would have gotten a domain. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because he's a prodigy, a genius. He's got endless cursed energy, and he can he can use reverse curse technique. He's a fucking badass even without Rika, and we've seen that. We've seen that in this chapter. We knew that long before. So, it never made sense to me that Rika would be tied to the domain. If Yuta did have a domain, which I was always assumed he did. Way back in older streams, you guys can go check it out. I always said the likelihood that he doesn't have a domain is about the same likelihood that Garp doesn't have Conqueror's Hockey. It's just, the percentage is so goddamn low, it might as well just be confirmed at this point. And number two is, once again, why would it be connected to Rika? Domains, sorcerers use domains with their own curse technique. Rika is something sort of separate from that. This is a unique thing that from Yuta. So having it connected didn't make a whole lot of sense, and I actually did get a comment in one of my Jujutsu videos a couple of days ago, and I have to really quickly apologize. This is what I was talking about, tangents. I got to really quickly apologize for... I love that you guys leave me comments, and I love when there are these long, big essays and stuff, and I do read all of them. Unfortunately, time restraints do not always allow me to be able to respond to each point, to each paragraph and stuff. I try my best, but if it's going to turn into a more than one comment sort of deal, like here's your comment and here's my response to that, and then we go again and we keep going, I don't have time to do these big long discussions or comment section. I wish I did. I really do. It happens a lot in my Yona discussion videos. Or my Yona reviews more so, but it does sometimes happen in my One Piece and Jujutsu Kaisen stuff. So I just want to say, sorry I can't always get to everybody's comment and give them enough of my time, enough time a day to completely read through and respond to every point. It's just a time restraint thing for me. But it does confirm something that was said in that comment and in other parts where people said Rika's tied to the domain. Not so much the case here, because these two want to launch their domain because they're terrified of Rika. Pretty much. They're saying Yuta, they don't want Yuta to have an advantage. Domain, domain, domain. Everyone's sort of on an even playing field. But Rika fucks that all up because now it's not a 1v1v1 on domain. Then they have this goddamn thing, the Queen of Curses herself, If she enters the barrier, we're a little fucked, right? Because then it's not a 1v1v1. Not everybody's on the even playing field. There's a huge advantage in Rika. So not tied to the domain, confirmed here, and actually very smart of these two to take Rika seriously. So that's that's most of the tangent part out of the way, right? But there are going to be more. So pretty much they've all tried to launch their barriers all at once. So we see all the barriers trying to circle. Rika tries to get there, but as it's stated, Rika had been thrown a fair distance by Rio's attack, and there was no need for any schemes. It was impossible for her to jump and make it in time. At least that's what they assumed. And we see the barriers are forming, and Rika's still quite a ways back, a couple buildings back. So it's sort of like, all right, what's going to happen? Now, this is the cool part. Once again, the explanation when people are like, oh, well, this Rika isn't really Rika. And once again, this is why I don't get the time limit part, because this is still basically Rika, and it's confirmed even here. The will, not just the power. This is not just a copy. Rika basically gave her part of her personality, of her will, and I'm going to assume at this point, basically part of her soul. Basically, this, for all intents and purposes, is Rika, but it's not. She's no longer cursed. The true soul is gone. You could argue that the soul might not be there, but the will, this is something manifested by someone who's already dead. The will bequeathed to Rika by Rika. So it's not just okay, I made a copy, but it's not the real thing. It's like, no, it's still basically me. I basically poured everything into this. For all intents, this is Pinocchio. He's a real boy. It's basically like, I basically gave you magic. This thing is basically me, So, and we see that because this Rika has the same personality from Volume 0. She gets pissed off. She yells to give Yuta back, and she starts to open her big, massive motherfucking eye in the center of her being, which is the big thing from Volume 0, 100% Rika. Boom, she's here. So, the will imparted to Rika simply couldn't allow it to happen, that she wasn't going to be able to help. So it's like, holy shit, Rika's output power reached a new level. And in that moment, and it's just like, okay, so what we're talking about here, I'm curious what the Viz translation will say about this, because this is the Rika we know at the end of Volume 0. Yuta, for spoilers for Volume 0. But Yuta kisses her, she goes 100% maxed out, and she opens her eye, and she fucking slams. She beats over 4,000 curses in one big hit and defeats Suguru Gito. So, but according to this is that form, but Rika's power is now a new level. I'm assuming this means a new level from when Volume 0 happened. So it's the same form. It's her most powerful form that we've seen to date, but it's even stronger than before. So, holy goddamn, Rio and Uro, they did, Sky Girl and Pompadour made the right decision, did they not? They were like, fuck the Queen of Curses. We can't deal with that bitch. She's too OP. We need to destroy Yuta here and now while she's distracted. We need to do this because otherwise we're screwed, right? We are screwed. So I love that aspect. Then, as I said, randomly, the cockroach spirit comes out of nowhere. Just randomly. Boom. Comes out of nowhere, and all the domain users are shocked, screams that the black demon of the modern era dances in the barrier. Outside the barrier, strengthened cockroaches are keeping Rika's attention. So basically, Rika is destroying these cockroaches. The explanation here for Kuroruchi, whatever, however you say his name, basically, before going dormant, he used some crazy, basically, he was able to imbue the cursed energy from the entirety of Japan's fear on cockroaches transferred into all the bodies of all its children. So basically, this thing was able to, even though it was destroyed, it had enough saved in basically the tank, and so it could revive itself. Holy fucking hell, this thing is sort of broken, right? It's sort of broken. But it's unfortunate for this thing because Yuta's not trying to hold back anymore, so he just blasts that motherfucker in the face. He doesn't really do much. Well, he does something because he is powerful. Remember, he was one of the Sundai why there was a stalemate. So basically they said, even though the player, Kuroruchi, died, the cursed spirit, the actual spirit of Kuroruchi continued to live. It just lived on in another vessel and now is able to reform itself. It's got the control of all the, the cockroaches and stuff, and Rika's just like they're not doing any damage to Rika. Rika don't give a shit. But they are keeping her distracted. And at this point, what's even more complex than a two-way domain expansion is a three-way. Because of the differences between the internal and external conditions for building their barriers, and the influence of unexpected intruders in the form of Kurotsuchi jumping in there, the barrier completely collapsed, and that's where we got cucked. Now, this actually makes a lot of sense, because I think there's a limit to this. Like, they're sort of saying there's two reasons that this happened. Number one, Kurotsuchi jumped in, so it was like, oh, whoa, wait a minute, what's going on while the barriers were forming? And number two, they say the internal conditions for building their barriers. So meaning that three domains trying to all happen at once, it's sort of unstable. Like, it's not really going to happen. There's too much shit going on. They're too OP all of a sudden. Everything's trying to overlap one another, and eventually it overheats and it breaks, right? That's pretty much the explanation I'm getting. So it sort of confirms, for me anyways, you guys can argue this point if you like, because it's not fully, but I would argue that you can't take 12 sorcerers all using domain expansion on each other at the same time. The barriers are going to start overlapping. Things are going to overheat. Things are going to go, no, this can't mesh. This doesn't work. Boom. It's just going to be too much. It's going to overcharge. It's going to overheat, and boom, you can't have like 17 domains all active at once, all in the same sphere, because the barriers just aren't going to handle the stress. The threshold is too high, right? So, or too low, however you want to look at it. So that actually, I like that explanation. Plus the interference of Kurotsuchi. So this doesn't confirm that we couldn't potentially, eventually, get three domains all at once. What it's stressing is there is a limit. Kurotsuchi was sort of the tipping point by interfering, but a three-way domain wasn't exactly the most stable thing in the world either. So it's basically telling me that any more than three, maybe four at the most, eventually that's just not going to happen in the series. It's not going to work. That's very good information to know. Now, maybe you guys took away something different from that, but that's how I looked at it. And that's... And we still got a really cool spread of everyone. Yuta's hair looking like a Super Saiyan. Same with Oro. Rio's just smoking a cig going, well, that fucking sucks. Jesus. Well, I guess that didn't work out. Now, they were all shocked by the interference of Kurotsuchi. But because Sky Girl believes that Kurotsuchi is a bit of a problematic battler, like, for her attention is focused on Kurotsuchi. And Yuta's just like... you slipped up, bitch, and wham, just kicks her right then and there. Bam, right at the back of the neck, right on the back, just boom. Like, don't take your eyes off of me. I'm king shit. And it's like, yeah, Yuta's, he's not stupid. He's not one of those, Nani? What's going on? I have to get my thoughts together. No. He's like, all right, I assess the situation. All right, boom. Instinct, baby. Instinct. Yuta's the best. So, now apparently... this makes sense too. Other than Yuta, Gojo and Yuta are sort of the exceptions to this rule. But even Gojo, Yuta is the real, true exception to this rule. Is right after using a domain expansion, techniques will burn out and become a lot harder to use. Why? Because you used up a lot of cursed energy to do it. Domains are OP for a reason. They're the Bankai. They're the ultimate move for a reason. You don't just use this. Goku doesn't just use the spirit bomb of the universe and just go, all right, I'm good. All right, I can just do that again, no problem. You can't spam that so easily. Yuta is the clear exception to that rule for all intents and purposes, right? We all know that. Now, so at this point, she's not able to completely use the sky covering. Her technique's a little weakened. Then, as we know, with Kurotsuchi's ability, fucking managed to hit her, and then the cockroach thing started, the same thing that happened to Yuta. The cockroaches come out of the wound, and it's absolutely disgusting, It's like cutting into a wall and finding termites everywhere. It's fucking disgusting. It's gross, right? It's gross. And so they completely are coming out of her arm and totally eat her arm off. And they completely chew right through her arm really quickly, because her arm is like mine. I'm a skinny motherfucker, see? So all these things came out. I mean, they ripped out of her, she already had a cut, and then they just chewed off the last little bits. And the arm, fucking gone, right? The arm's gone. And then Rika comes out of nowhere and eats Uro's arm. So now, I would argue that this means Rika just absorbed not only Kurotsuchi's ability, so Rika probably has that sky ability now. That's cool. I'm just going to assume that. That might be wrong, but, we don't really know, like, Yuta just sees something happen and then can do it. He just saw Inumaki. He didn't need to, like, beat Inumaki or anything. He was able to use cursed speech just by watching it happen. So Yuta might have already absorbed that ability, but I'm pretty sure that between Yuta seeing it and Rika eating part of her, I'm going to assume that now Yuta can use that ability as well. So then, basically, it's explained that they can all use reverse curse technique. Of course, they're all badasses, but healing a whole limb back is not easy to do. Granted, Yuta did it, very little problem for Maki in Volume 0, and he didn't even know what the fuck he was doing. He was training for 2 months at that point. So, once again, Yuta is the exception, not the rule. So, she's all pissed off, and she's still blaming the Fujiwara clan. She's still blaming the Fujiwara clan sort of idea, and stuff like that, when it's like, well, wait a minute now. It was Kurotsuchi that ate your arm. It was Cockroach Man. Cockroach Man was the one that ate your arm. Cockroach Man was the one who, cut your arm and your arm came off, Now, Rika was the one to eat the arm, so I guess, she could blame both of them, but I found that kind of funny. It's like, he cut me and his cockroaches ate my arm off. Damn you, Yuta, for that. It's like, he just kicked you. You're the one who got hit, so I don't know about that. But either way, Ryu basically says, all right, you know what? This is the end. Cursed energy release is confirmed to be his ability, right? That's his cursed technique. So he says, all right, I've had enough of you, Sky Girl. Boom, and shoots her completely with a Kamehameha Pompadour Hyper Beam, right? Pompadour Hyper Beam, go. Hits her, smacks her. We don't see a title card coming up. We don't see a title card saying like 5 points or whatever sort of idea. So we can infer that she's not dead, but she's down and out of the fight. So basically, apparently, he is the only sorcerer who has the same attack output, whether he's using a cursed technique or not. I don't know what the fuck that means. I really don't. That's a bad wording or something, or maybe I'm just reading it wrong. But it's like, so he has the same attack output whether he's using a cursed technique or not. But shooting Pompadour Hyper Beams is a curse. What do they mean by that? When he throws a punch, like a regular punch, is just as powerful as his Pompadour Hyper Beam? Is that what they're trying to say? That a normal attack, a normal kick or punch is the same as when he uses a cursed technique? That's the best I can get out of that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But yeah, we got to finish up this review soon because I'm losing light fast by the looks of it. So Kurotsuchi, of course, took a lot of damage in that blast as well by the looks of it. Took a lot of damage, and Yuta just has no time for him. Just walking up, grabs him, and boom, baby! Just blast, took his head right off. He's like, all right, I was playing with you last time. You got lucky. I was trying to not show off my awesomeness, but this time, I got no time for you, cockroach. Out of here. Boom, baby! So I love that. And then we get a reminiscent shot at the end of the chapter here. And we all like Ryo. Ryo has quickly become a lot of people's favorite. He's not necessarily the favorite character, but one of the new additions to the cast that people really like. And I can see why. He's got the Squall Leonhardt look. He's got the classic delinquent pompadour. He's got this food aesthetic, like, I just need to eat. Like, I need to eat and eat, and I'm never satisfied. We've seen that type of character before, and those type of characters are always usually pretty cool. There's a beauty in the more simple characters. They don't need to be super complex to be likable and to be cool. And in this case, it's an excellent version of it. So he says, the table's set. We actually see a shot of a bunch of food and, like desserts and like proper English tea and all that fun jazz, right? We get to see all that, and then they're ready to stare each other down. It's like a Wild Wild West sort of stance. It's like, all right, he's like, I'm going to fire this, and you just like, all right, I'll do the same thing. And what's he doing? He's doing this, baby. He's doing this. He's doing what he did. Remember last time he did this? I do, because I just saw Volume 0 of the movie. Rika's eye is opened. Last time he did this, he killed one of the 16, was it 16 or 12, most powerful curses, plus over 4,000 curses, and he was just unleashing power. Rika has reached a new level, and according to, he says, let's go, Rika, and he's just going to launch that same super Kamehameha blast he launched against Gito. It's the same stance, so I'm thinking that when he said, no, this is pure love, sort of idea, and then he went, boom, baby, and he blasted him in 1 Volume 0. So this is going to be a great showdown at the end of, I'm going to assume that Sunday is going to conclude chapter 180, 181. But here's a weird thing they're saying, that Okocha's technique has not yet recovered. But that makes no sense because he's infinite. Well, it's so bottomless that it might as well be. Like, he can't run out. That's the whole point. And Rika is right now still, you could argue that, oh, well, Rika's not fully manifested because we learn about all that nerfing stuff in the last chapter. But here, Rika is fully manifested, in fact, reached a whole new level. Yuta don't need his curse technique. He can just spam domain expansion again, like some people are saying he's going to do. I think he's just going to blast him. I think it's Kamehameha, boom, blast him out of nowhere, and he's just going to be like, yeah, but this is Rika. You're fighting the Queen of Curses, bitch. Boom, baby. Like, I don't care how powerful your output is. This is Rika, So it's just going to fucking blast, in the next week. So Yuta's clearly going to win next battle. We're going to see the amount of strain that having a fully manifested Rika. Maybe, as people have been saying, the 5-minute time limit is a bit of a problem, but it's also manga logic. 5 minutes is nowhere near real 5 minutes. Plus, also, that time limit could potentially increase. This new level, for example, that Rika has now reached, maybe this has increased the time limit already. Like, maybe we've seen some growth right here battling these super strong opponents for Yuta. It could be. Either way, I just find that personally, this was a really good chapter, even though once again, I know people are upset. We got cucked a little bit, right? And I understand that. I really, really do. I understand why people are upset by that. But yeah, so either way, I enjoyed the chapter, and thank God, because we are losing a lot of daylight. I didn't think the sun would go away that fast. But anyways, hopefully it's not too dark here. And but yeah, that's the end of the chapter. A very long review. I told you there'd be a lot of tangents. Yeah, so a couple things to take away from this is, number one, I always love being right. I gotta keep saying that, guys. I'm egotistical like that. I gotta keep saying I was right. Rika has nothing to do with Yuta's domain. Number two, this standoff, a lot of people are saying that Yuta's just gonna use his domain again. I don't really get the speech bubble about the whole fact that his technique wasn't recovered. He's Yuta. Like, stamina is not an issue when it comes to Yuta. That's not a thing, so I don't get that wording, and maybe it's incorrect. I'll wait for the Viz to find out, because that's really strange to me. I don't understand that one, but maybe we'll find out more about that later. But he's got a fully manifested Rika who has reached a new level that could increase the time limit. He could span domain, but it's the same stance from the end of Volume 0 when he faced off Wild West style with Gito, so I'm assuming it's going to be the same thing. They're doing the exact same. It's a parallel to Volume 0. We have the fully manifested Rika. The eye is there. It's poetic if it ends the same way. If it's another, like, all right, last time I passed out from this. Let's try it again. Boom, baby, So it's going to be badass. It's going to be awesome. Yuta's amazing. A lot of this fight was just really awesome. This fight was really cool. I love how Kuratsuchi came back just for Yuta to go, yeah, get the fuck out of here, bitch. I got no time to play with you this time. And that was really cool. There was a lot of cool things about this chapter, but we can confirm that domains have been an issue. We got a little cucked, and that's disappointing. Rika is not part of the domain, but Rika is not only just some carbon copy that acts like Rika. She was installed with a will of her own. Once again, a bit of a Pinocchio thing going on is the best comparison I can make right now. But for all intents like an android, from Dragon Ball Z, it's like they still have feelings. It's still, yeah, they're an android, but they still end up, they are partially human or something like that. Like, it's just, I don't really know what else to compare it to, but for all intents and purposes, this Rika still has the personality, feelings, and attitude. As we saw, she got super angry. It's like, give Yuta back to me. And the growth happened, right? So it's more than just a storage, like was explained last chapter. I think people just don't like the idea that this Rika, there's still the love attachment. He's still using the ring to manifest her and stuff like that. You know what I mean? He's still using the ring. I think people just don't like the idea of pure love. People just don't like it for some reason. Or maybe it's a bunch of Maki Yuta shippers that just don't like Rika being in the picture anymore. Who knows? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. This is going to be a long one. It's getting really dark now. Jesus. So like, comment, and subscribe. As always, don't forget the fourth and most important thing, to drink responsibly, as I always do. And we're going to have to turn a light on in this bitch when we do our Kengan stream later on tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Hope to see you guys there. And I hope you enjoyed the One Piece stream last night. One Piece chapter 1044 was incredible. A 10 out of 10 chapter. It was great. And this chapter was no slouch, but it was no 1044, right? That chapter was some peak shit. That probably won't be topped for a while in any series for the next little while. So, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Let me know what you thought of it down in the comment section down below. Once again, I do read all the comments, and I try my best to respond to the best of my abilities. But sometimes when it starts going on a little more than a comment or two, I'm not going to be able to find the time, unfortunately, to respond. Sometimes I do it at a much later date, so, hold for that. But, yeah, just letting you guys know. I try my best, but sometimes I miss shit. So, anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. See you back here for chapter 180. I'm excited.